Once upon a time, in a snowy forest blanketed by a thick layer of white, two siblings, Hansel and Gretel, wandered aimlessly among the towering pines. Their cheeks were rosy from the cold, but it was their insatiable hunger that drove them forward, the chill air filled with their constant refrain, "I'm hungry." The children had devoured every morsel in their home. They gobbled the last of the bread, every vegetable their parents had harvested the season before, and even the sugar stored for winter. Their parents, weary and desperate, had finally reached their limit. One night, after a particularly frigid day, they made the heartbreaking decision to abandon Hansel and Gretel deep in the forest, hoping to ease their burden. As the sun sank behind the trees, the children were left alone, a chilling breeze rustling the branches above. "I'm hungry," Hansel muttered, his stomach rolling in agreement. Gretel nodded, her eyes scanning the snow for any sign of food. Their search soon led them deeper into the woods, where the trees grew thicker and the snow draped everything in silence. Just as they were about to give up hope, they stumbled upon a quaint cottage nestled between the trees. It seemed to glimmer against the white, its windows aglow with flickering candlelight. "Food!" Gretel exclaimed, her eyes wide as she rushed to the door. Inside, they found a small platter of meat sitting atop a table, barely enough to feed them. The siblings looked at each other, hunger overriding caution. They devoured the meat with a frenzied urgency, their small hands clawing at the tender pieces as they lost themselves in the rich, savory taste that filled their mouths. The dim light flickered over their flushed faces, casting elongated shadows across the room, where the old witch lurked in a shadowed corner, her eyes glinting with a mix of hunger and anticipation. As the last morsels disappeared, and the siblings wiped their greasy fingers on their clothes, they turned to each other, bewildered, and both exclaimed, "I'm not hungry." The witch, her lips curling into a mischievous smile, stepped forward from the darkness, her presence suddenly commanding, and stated, "I know. My dear little ones," she cooed, her voice smooth like melting ice. "What fine little Wendigos you are." Hansel and Gretel froze as their eyes widened. "Wendigos," they echoed, confusion mingling with fear. The witch stepped closer, her grin widening. "Yes, children. You see, you are just like me. Creatures of insatiable hunger, destined to crave more than mere meat." She leaned in, her eyes directed towards the empty plate. "You must feed on human flesh." Hansel and Gretel shook their heads in disbelief, denial etched on their faces as the witch spoke of their cursed nature. "No, we were just hungry, that's all," Hansel insisted, but the witch's cold gaze pierced through their defiance. "Your fleeting satisfaction won't last," she warned, her voice dripping with foreboding. "Soon, the maddening hunger will return, clawing at your insides, and nothing will quell it." The children's eyes widened with tears at the thought of an unending craving, their hearts racing as fear took root. Suddenly, overwhelmed by their dread, they threw themselves into the witch's arms, seeking solace in her dark embrace. As she stroked their hair, a twisted comfort in her touch, her voice low and warm. Now, don't worry. I'll take care of you. But tell me, where are your parents?" The children, sobbing, momentarily paused as they met the witch's stare with bewilderment. The witch chuckled softly, the sound sending shivers through the air. "Your parents, sweethearts, they abandoned you. You've been forsaken. Why not have a feast?" Hansel and Gretel exchanged glances, the spark of dark understanding igniting between them. The thought of their parents, who had left them in the cold, was a bitter morsel, but it fed the fire of their hunger. "Let's eat," Hansel said, his voice steady now, hunger overtaking his sense of betrayal. Gretel nodded in agreement, the thrill of it electrifying her. Together, they followed the witch into the snowy night, the forest eerily silent around them. As they approached the small, dimly lit cabin where their parents had taken refuge, a feeling of power surged within the children. Hansel and Gretel pushed open the creaking door. Their parents stood frozen in shock, eyes wide as they took in the sight of their children. The siblings' voices growled in unison. "Mama, Papa, I'm hungry." Thank you for watching, Wanderer. Press the like and subscribe buttons for more Kindled tales. If you're interested in another story, here are some others.